Welcome back to our how-to series on the Climatic Excel add-in. In this video, we'll be looking at two different audit trail formulas that you can use from the Climatic Excel add-in, that being the search by ID and retrieve factor details formulas. Unlike the other formulas from the Climatic Excel add-in, these formulas don't perform a carbon calculation. Instead, they provide the full background and audit information behind an emission factor. This includes the raw emission factor value, the activity name, source, region, year, LCA stage, and other reference details that are crucial for data verification and reporting. This is particularly useful when you need to confirm the details of a factor that you've already used in a climatic calculation. Let's start by taking a look at the documentation in the task pane for search by ID formula. The formula is written as climatic.searchById and it accepts one climatic ID as the input. Please note that an ID and an activity ID are not the same thing. The ID is a unique combination of letters and numbers that point to exactly one emission factor, whereas an activity ID represents a high reporting activity, it's really high level, and it might have many IDs associated with it. So let's walk through an example. Here I have an Excel file containing a few calculation results with IDs that were outputted by climatic formulas. In the first example, I'll look up a single one of these IDs. To start, click into any empty cell, type the equal sign, and select the climatic.searchById formula from the list. Alternatively, you can insert the formula directly via the task pane. Next, select the cell containing your chosen ID, close the bracket, and press enter. Before reviewing the outputs, I recommend clicking the Add Header button in the task pane to label the columns. It makes it easier to read the results. The formula outputs various additional details, such as the emission factor name, the activity ID it belongs to, the region, year, source dataset, LCA stage, unit, raw emission factor values, calculation methods, and a full constituent gas breakdown where applicable. However, if your outputted emission estimates do not have an ID column, but rather an applied emission factors column containing multiple factors, you'll need to use the retrieve factor details formula to get the audit trail. For example, in freight calculations, there are typically multiple factors used to derive a single calculation. This is where we need the retrieve factor details formula to provide an audit trail for more than one factor in a given cell. We can access this formula as usual using the equal sign on our keyboard or insert it via the task pane. We can then select the cell containing the applied emission factors we want audit data for. Next, the formula expects us to specify if we want the results flattened or not. So we can set flattened to true if we want the results for the factors to be in one straight line, or alternatively false if we want them returned in a table format. As you can see, this returns the audit trail results for all of the emission factors, and we can also add a header above the results for easy interpretation. The outputs are identical to the ones we covered in the search by ID. The difference is that this formula outputs audit trails for multiple factors contained within one cell. You've now learned how to use the search by ID and retrieve factor details formula to get detailed metadata and raw emission factor values directly within Excel. To learn how to use our other climatic formulas, check out the next videos in this how-to series. I'll see you in the next video.